at, you know what? I've got the 49ers at 9-7-1 is where I'm putting the
Wow.
49ers at.
A tie?
Thank you for watching In Any Arena. If you like our content, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. All right, let's get into it. Now, I know in a lot of these videos, I've talked about the divisions, how competitive it is. Teams are great, teams are this, and teams are that. But the reality is, there's one division that reigns supreme, and that is the NFC West. The NFC West, for many years, many of the past years, has been the division that nobody wants to face. I mean, you've got some teams that are ready to ball, ready to play. You got some guys who just got paid. So, Doug, who do you have in the NFC West? What's going to be their record? And how do you see this division shaking up?
So I have Rams number 1, defending Super Bowl champions. They literally have the same roster. Aaron Donald just signed him a nice fat contract. You got Cooper Kupp, Mr. Triple Crown himself, Bab. The only place that I can see them improving at is in the backfield. Now, the running back was hurt all season, and he miraculously played it in the Super Bowl. I think he broke his leg. He
Yeah.
came back in a very truncated timeline, and he did great. So
Right.
with him having a full off season to develop and get even more healthier, maybe they're straight in the backfield. Solid tight end. I think his name is not Grisby. It's something like that. The tight end is solid. The defense, Jalen Ramsey, Darnold, Von Miller has departed, but so what? He's good, but he's in the latter part of his career now. They could put someone in there, plug him in, and I think they'll be just fine. So the Rams, number 1. Now, this is where things get turbulent. Who's number 2? And when you look at it, you got the Cardinals on one hand, but then you have the 49ers on the other hand. And so just last week, the 49ers, let me slow down. The 49ers decided to let Jimmy G test the market out, see what he's worth. And so that one can assume that it's plausible that Trey Lance is ready to go. With Trey Lance being 6'4", 6'5", 230, strong arm, they say he has a really solid football IQ. Doesn't have a lot of starter experience at the college level and came from a Division I AA school, but we take his frame and his attributes. I think he's going to be a very solid quarterback. One thing that comes to mind when you think about the 49ers, they have a very unorthodox way of doing things. When you think about when Colin Kaepernick was playing with the 49ers, came from
Mhm.
Nevada, one of those lower tier Division I schools, but for some odd reason they could find ways to win and make it to the Super Bowl. I think we're seeing that reincarnated here with a better quarterback. So, and then you got Debo, no issues with the contract anymore. I think they worked out something behind the scenes that we'll hear about in the coming weeks. And so, and then you got George Kittle at the tight end, who's also functions as a receiver. I mean, he's a very nice, solid gadget guy to have. So it seemed like I'm leaning towards the 49ers at 2. And then
Mhm.
number 3, you got Mighty Mouse as quarterback. Mr. Kyler Murray himself, Mr. $200+ million man that had that 4-hour clause in his film clause in his contract. Now has been removed at quarterback, who's solid. The guy can throw the rock. He has some wheels on him. The only thing about him is up here. I think it's up here, but he has the
Yeah.
tools around him. He got D Hop. I think they picked up another receiver. They got Green. I mean, they have an arsenal of weapons out there in Arizona. So that 2 and 3 is a toss up, but I'm gonna have to go with the 49ers, and then last the Seahawks. I don't have much to say about the Seahawks. Metcalf signed a nice little contract, making him, I think, the highest paid receiver in the league. So that's
Right.
it.
That's it. That's it. Nothing else
That's,
in
that's
it.
it. That's it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think this division has, like I said, you've had situations over the past couple of years where this division viably has three teams in the playoffs, and I think that this year will not be one of those years. So NFC West by far, I think it's a runaway. The Rams win the division, like you said. I echo a lot of those sentiments. You got a Super Bowl winning team, albeit they won the Super Bowl by a fluke call. Fluke holding call that shouldn't have been called. You got a team that won a Super Bowl, had the best receiver in the league last year in Cooper Cup, who had Odell Beckham, who showed up big for them in the place injured Robert Woods, who went down. But you got a Rams team that is just stacked. I mean, you've got the best defensive lineman in the game. You got a top 5 corner in the game, arguably the best corner in the game in their secondary, and they're just by far light years ahead of the other teams in this division. And so I've got the Rams winning the division. I got the Rams finishing at 13-4, and I think they are just going to be a force to be reckoned with once again. Coming in behind the Rams, I think it's tough. Initially, I want to put the 49ers there, but I can't, and I'll get to that in just a moment. So I've got the Cardinals. I got the Cardinals coming in second. I think the addition of Marquise Brown, while they did lose Christian Kirk, I think that addition of Marquise Brown is a great addition to complement what you have in Kyler Murray being your starting quarterback. You still have Zach Ertz at tight end, who's a great tight end, who can both block and catch the ball and get upfield without
Can't see him
problems.
across the middle. You can't see him across the middle, so how you gonna give him the ball unless you run it out or a corner?
Listen, they've done
You
it,
can't see
and
him.
and they'll continue to do it. You got a defense that again gets slept on, but you got Isaiah Simmons, a former standout at Clemson, who's been a big time playmaker. You got Buda Baker, who last year made some strides and really was a huge playmaker on their team. And anchoring that defensive line, you got none other than J.J. Watt. So let's not forget about the players that the Cardinals have and what they can bring. Now, again, I do have them finishing second, and I have San Francisco third. And here's why. San Francisco has a great defense. Again, they have Nick Bosa, who should be back and playing great football. You got a secondary anchored by Manny Mosley. You got Jimmy Ward. You got Darquez Denard. You got some great players on this team. The problem is,
Their linebacking core too is no joke.
yeah, you got Fred Warner. You got who was that? Dre Greenlaw, who's a linebacker on their team. So you got some guys there. The problem with San Francisco is the offense, and let's just get to it. You do have Trent Williams, the best left tackle in football, anchoring that offensive line. You got Deebo Samuels, a running back who can also play receiver, and who really should be one of the first players in the NFL with that athlete listed beside their name. But the offense is centered around Deebo Samuel. You don't have any other guys worth mentioning at wide receiver. You really don't have a running back worth mentioning. And then you've got a quarterback who's going to be starting his first season in Trey Lance. I do believe in Trey Lance. I do think it's time for Trey Lance to take over in San Francisco. However, if you're going to have a new quarterback, if you got a new guy taking over, you got to take pressure off of this guy and you got to put weapons around him. Now, they do have George Kittle, who, again, top tight end in football, but all you have is George Kittle and Deebo Samuel. Now, if you line Deebo Samuel up out wide, if I'm a defensive coordinator, I'm playing against you guys, I got a man over the top. I'm not worried about these other guys you got at receiver, and I'm not worried about them hurting me. Yes, this is the NFL. Yes, guys are going to step up and make plays. But again, I don't know who any of these guys are. No disrespect to them. So
They were ranked
I
13th in the
think,
league last year in total offense.
what percentage of that did Debo Samuel account for?
I mean, of course, I mean, who can stop that guy? I mean, if it ain't broke, you know who they remind me of, JT? And this is Charlotte. If you lived in Charlotte and play football in Charlotte, you know they remind me of Charlotte Catholic, bro. They used to run the same running plays, and them running plays worked so well because they were executed well.
The
You knew
the
what they were going to do.
problem that's a great example, and again, only Charlotte teams will know that. But the problem with that is this is the NFL, buddy,
They
and
couldn't stop it last year. They couldn't stop it.
but that's the way the NFL works. When you shift to doing something in one season, everybody then the next season is prepared for that. So what is the 49ers game plan this season? Because everybody is going to be ready for you to run the ball with Debo Samuels and for you to line him up
Yeah.
in the backfield, for you to line him up in the slot, for you to line him up out wide. Everyone's ready for it. So what are you going to hit everybody with that's going to be any different?
You
And I
got
don't
Trey
think they.
Lance. You got Trey Lance.
So again, I think they'll play good.
Infinite options. Think about it. You had Jimmy G. He couldn't run. He's a pocket passer. Now Trey Lance is also a pocket passer, but he got wheels, which opens up your playbook even more. So when you
It
start thinking
does,
about that,
but it's his first
you got
season as a full time starter,
bro.
and the pressures of that come with something totally different.
That's fine, but don't,
The pressures of that come with something totally different. So again, you know, I think they'll play well, but I just don't see them being better than the Cardinals. So again, here are my records. I have the Rams at 13-4. I have the Cardinals finishing at 10-7 or 11-6. I'm going to go with 11-6. I need to be decisive here. I'm going with the Cardinals at 11-6. I've got the 49ers again at, you know what? I've got the 49ers at 9-7-1 is where I'm putting the
wow,
49ers at.
a tie. Okay,
9-7
wow.
and 1. We've seen it in almost every NFL season over the past couple of seasons that there's been one tie. So I've got the 49ers finishing at 9-7 and 1. And I will say, don't want to mention the Seahawks. You know, what is
Rebuild.
there to talk about here? Russell Wilson's out of there. You do
Bad.
give DK Metcalf a big contract, but do you have anyone who can throw on the ball? I like Geno Smith. I think Geno Smith is going to play well. I think he's been a great backup over the past few seasons. But when I say play well, I don't mean he's going to be a standout or by far a top tier NFL quarterback. And what does that come with? That comes with costly mistakes in key moments in the game. And so I think what we see here is that the Seahawks finish somewhere around 6-11 at best, and that'll round out the NFC West.